Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be doing my top 10 albums from 2017. So yeah, overall for me it has been a pretty good year of music, certainly compared to last year where I only bought 2 albums, which was a bit pathetic. Like this year, I got a total of 12 new albums from 2017, which is pretty good for me. So yeah, in this list, I will in this video, I will just be listing them all, ranking my favourite albums from this year. Now yeah, I just want to clear a few things up. This is just my own personal list. So if you know my music taste, you know that I'm more into sort of older music, sort of 60s, 70s, 80s, stuff. So this isn't a definitive list, and these aren't generally going to be considered the best albums from this year. If you do want a more definitive list, I will link my good friend Vinyl Collector James's channel, where he does a top 50 albums of the year. Every year he's done it, which those videos are always a really great, really entertaining watch. So in addition to these 12 albums, there were a few which came out which I was sort of mildly interested in buying, but I didn't get in the end. These are sort of my runners up, if you will. One of them was Blondie's record, what came out this year, called Pollinator, which I wasn't too taken by the single which was released from it, which was a song called Fun. I thought Long Time, which is a single after that, was a little bit better. But again, the end, I could never bother buying the album. And then in sort of about September time, they were at Hyde Park, and it just so happened to hear it on the radio, and Debbie Harry's voice is completely gone. I really felt quite sad actually listening to it. There was kind of murdering some of their classic songs Heart of Glass. They had to sort of detune it down so many steps. It just lost all the life what the song has. But I'm not gonna say that Blondie should give up touring, give up releasing albums, retire, because they have so many fans who I bet are really pleased that they still have new Blondie music to look forward to, they're still touring and that. But for me, as a fan of their 70s stuff, I'm not too interested in what they're doing now. Another which sort of similar to the Blondie one was Lindsey Buckingham and Christine McVie's duet album, which came out earlier this year. So yeah, I was really looking forward to this album because they are my 2 favourite members of Fleetwood Mac, as far as songwriting goes. It tends to be their songs which I like the most, and also when they sing together, which they didn't do very often. There's a song called World Turning on the 1975 album, which I think is amazing. So I was really looking forward to hearing this album. Whoever sort of reviews of it were only lukewarm on it. My friends James Lack and Vinyl Collector James, who are all big Fleetwood Mac fans, weren't too big on this album, so I didn't bother buying it in the end. And another one is Roger Waters from Pink Floyd. He released a solo album this year called Is This the Life We Really Want? Now I am a fan of Pink Floyd, but I'm not so much a fan of Roger Waters, the albums where he dominates on such as The Wall and The Final Cut, are among my least favourite Pink Floyd material. And apparently this is a very sort of similar album to Final Cut, a very political, very sort of angry album, which I didn't really have too much interest in hearing. But anyway, on to 2 records which I did buy this year, which just miss out on the top 10. These would be sort of number 12 and 11 respectively. The first one is by Ray Davies, his solo album Americana here. Now I am big fan of the Kinks here, so I wanted to check out some of his solo work, and there isn't much of it out there. This is I think his 3rd solo record, 3rd or 4th solo album which he's done. And I did quite like the single from it, Americana, the title track. That was probably the main reason why I bought this. But it is quite a long record. There's a double album, a lot of tracks here, so a lot of filler as well on it, apart from some of the better tracks here. It's also quite a sort of country style album. So like is that backing band like as a group called the Jayhawks like on here. So like it's alright, this record here. Like if like you are like a big Kinks fan, it is worth hearing, but it doesn't really like warrant like repeat listens. So yeah, that is Ray Davies' Americana. Another one which just missed out on the top 10 is this album by a group called Stone Foundation called Street Rituals here. Now the reason why I got this one is because Paul Weller produced this album and like also sings like on like quite a few like off like the songs, and like there are some great highlights like on this record, such as Back in the Game, Your Balloon Is Rising, and like also like other ones which like Weller doesn't sing on, like Limit Off a Man is a cracking tune. However, there is a lot of filler like on here, like kind of samey sound, like rather album, like very sort of soulful, very like relaxing, but doesn't really like rock this album like at all. Like it gets a bit boring like in places, but like yeah, like not a bad album though, and like certainly like having like Paul Weller like on it like helps it quite a lot. Just show like the inner sleeve here, because there are like lots of pictures like on it, like off like the band working. You can see like just how involved Paul Weller was with this release here. So there's lots of pictures of him there, like in the studio, like with the band. So yeah, a pretty good record here by Stone Foundation called Street Rituals. Okay, so now on to the top 10. Basically, I'll play like a little snippet like of like one of the songs like from the record, and then just like talk about the album. So yeah, first up would be number 10.
Look for that star shining, sweet kid.
Which is another record which Paul Weller was involved with. It is his soundtrack to the film Jawbone here. Now maybe like you'd say that this shouldn't be like included here, like because it is like a film soundtrack, like, but it is all original material like by Paul Weller. Like it's not like some like film soundtracks like where it's like sort of like compilations like of like other songs. This is all like original material, and like it is really really good, especially like the first side, which is kind of like a sort of avant-garde like sort of soundscape thing, like really different like for Paul Weller, like really like really pushing like the boat out like for him. Like I hear a lot of David Bowie's Low, the second side of that album, like on like the first song here. Like elsewhere, there's also some more like acoustic tracks, such as like the ballad of Jimmy McCabe, which is a song which has really like grown on me. Didn't think much of it like when I first heard it, like, but now it is one of like my favourite songs like off like the year. So yeah, Jawbone soundtrack by Paul Weller, really like worth like picking up this album here. Next one at number 9 is the latest album by Morrissey here called Low in High School. Now, this is one which I had quite good like expectations for. Like, certainly, like singles from it: Spent the Day in Bed, I Wish You Lonely, and Jackie's Only Happy When She's Up on the Stage. I thought were all brilliant songs. But they kind of like let out like all of like the album's good songs like before like it came out, because like elsewhere like there is quite a bit of filler like on here. Like it's quite a long record as well. Like there's only 12 songs, but like some of like the tracks that go on for about sort of 7 minutes. So like yeah, like it is like quite a long record to get through. It starts off pretty good. I mean like the first side like was all like really great, like right through to Spent the Day in Bed. It's just the second side like where it gets a little bit like slightly tedious. But yeah, like I'll just show like the packaging for this one here. There's the inside of it, and the inner sleeve looks like this here. There's a picture of the man himself and the back of it there, and this is a clear vinyl version, so it looks like that there. I must say though, this probably gets the award for worst album cover of the year for me. I just think it's a horrible cover, really. I mean, it's just like the axe and just like everything. Like I know like Morrissey does have like strong like political like beliefs and that, but it like yeah, like it is just a bit like tasteless for me. So yeah, that's Morrissey, Low in High School. Now coming in at number 8 is a solo record from Liam Gallagher, his first solo album called As You Were Here. So yeah, this is a surprisingly solid debut album because I wasn't really expecting much from a Liam Gallagher solo album, because he isn't really that much talented as a musician, doesn't play an instrument, isn't very prolific as a songwriter. So basically what he does on this album is just get a lot of people to help him, and it is a little bit mixed. I mean, it starts off really well, a bit like Morrissey, the whole off the first side, Wall of Glass, Bold, Greedy Soul, Paper Crown, For What It's Worth, and When I'm in Need are all really great songs. That first side, I'd say as good as anything Noel Gallagher's Hi-Fi and Birds I've put out. It's just the second side where we get quite a few fillery songs I Get By and You Better Run and Chinatown. I just don't really think much of those tracks, and it's those ones which is the ones which he actually got help to write, which is the strange thing. So yeah, a little bit of a mixed record here though, but certainly a worthy debut solo effort from Liam Gallagher here. From Liam Gallagher, I'm quite interested to see where he'll go next, whether he'll continue that sort of sound, or maybe try something different. Next one now at number 7 is one which my very good friend vinyl collector James bought for me as a Christmas present. I did open it a little bit early, after a bit, but yeah, it is this album by a group called Real Estate here. This is called In Mind, and yeah, this was recommended by not only James but also Ben Simpson, who's also a fan, and this is just really nice, really chilled out guitar music. It's maybe a little bit samey across the whole album. Once you got through the first side, you kind of know what you're getting with this album, but it's still really good though, really nice, really relaxing music. So yeah, Real Estate, In Mind.
Nothing can stop us, we might as well try.
The next album at number 6 on my list is the latest record from group Squeeze here. I have only got the CD with this one because the vinyl release of this has been kind of a bit of a mess. It was supposed to come out in November, got delayed to January, now it's February, I think, when the vinyl's due. So I have to make do with the CD. But it's the music what matters, and it is really solid record here. Coming quite soon after their last record called Cradle to Grave, which was kind of a big comeback album for them. This is just equally as good, if not better. There's certainly I'd say more highlights on this album. On this album, accompanying track Innocence in Paradise is really nice. Patchouli is great. Rough Ride, Departure Lounge, Two Forks, the closing song is fantastic as well. So yeah, I would definitely recommend to any sort of Squeeze fan, give this a listen. Even if you haven't really delved into their stuff, delved into their recent work. I think this is really great, and certainly stands up to albums like Arby Garby and Cool for Cats and that. So yeah, and The Knowledge, really fantastic stuff here. I was also lucky enough to see Squeeze live back in November, which was a really fantastic concert. So yeah, The Knowledge by Squeeze comes in at number 6. Next album is another one which was a present from James Lobban, a Christmas present here. This is an album by a band called Ride here. They're kind of an older band, from the late 80s, early 90s, and from what I've read, they sort of split up towards the end of the 90s, and this was a reunion album for them. The guitarist in the band, or I think he might be the bassist, a guy called Andy Bell. I knew his name because he joined Oasis during the 2000s. And so yeah, this is a really fantastic record. I remember when it came out, I was still at work then, so I'd heard some of the songs Charm Assault and All I Want on 6 Music, and I thought it was really good. So yeah, it is a rocking album. Reminds me a little bit of Johnny Marr's solo stuff actually, and And like, apparently like the genre what this is sort of in like is called shoegaze sort of stuff, which I always thought was quite reverby vocals that you can't really make out like what they're saying like, but with this like you can, like it's quite clear like the vocals like for the most part. So yeah, like a really really great record here, like 11 tracks like in total, double vinyl album here. So yeah, that is an album by Ride called Weather Diaries. Okay, next up at number 4 is a well, another brilliant record here. It's by a newish like young band called the Stripes. This is their 3rd record and it's called Spitting Image here. Now like they are a brilliant young band here, like they're all like sort of about like early 20s and that, but like it's really great music. I mean, it sounds like kind of like a modern jam sort of thing, like modern sort of mod rock, like R&B sort of style music, which is really great. Like really fantastic songwriting, like as well, like great lyrics like on here. Some of my favourite songs would be Behind Closed Doors, Grin and Bear It, Oh Cruel World, and Black Shades Over Red Eyes, like is great as well. Again, it's maybe a little bit long, this record, like, but all the songs like, are quite sort of like short, like, and snappy, like, so it doesn't really get boring, this album either. We'll see in a sleeve like from this, yeah, so you just get a sort of lyrics and picture of the band there. So yeah, fantastic record here. They're supporting Paul Weller when he tours the UK in February. I haven't got tickets yet, but I am quite tempted to, like when like I learn that like these guys like would be like supporting like Paul Weller, because I think this is a incredible record here by the Stripes. Okay, so now at number 3 on my list is the new album by the Charlatans here. It's called Different Days. So yeah, like I was lucky enough to see the Charlatans a couple of weeks ago now. Like back at the start like of September. They were absolutely fantastic, and like this is a brilliant record like to be touring with. It's slightly different like from like their previous stuff. Like I don't really like know too much like off like the kind of like 2000 stuff. Like I really just know like the 90s hits. Like, but it's like a bit more like experimental. Like it is quite a varied like sound like to this record, like which is why like I put it like above like things like the Stripes and like Ride, like just because they are trying out different things like on this record here. You've also got a huge variety like of guest stars like on here, like Paul Weller sings on like the final song Spinning Out, which is fantastic. Johnny Marr's playing guitar like on like a lot of these songs. You've also got contributions from Gillian Gilbert and Stephen Morris like of New Order, and like also author Ian Rankin like does like some spoken word passages like between the songs, which really like it brings the album together so well. Like it's a very sort of like cohesive like listen. Like it really is like a record like which like you listen to like from start to finish. It takes you like on like a journey, this record here. So yeah, fantastic album here like from the Charlatans. I'm not sure like what number this is, like definitely like 15 like I think or something, or like something from them. Like they do have quite a large like discography. Okay, so now at number 2, I'm going for this record here by Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, Who Built the Moon. So yeah, this is kind of split like a lot of like a lot of Oasis fans like and like Noel Gallagher fans, because it is very different. Like it's very like sort of like, I wouldn't say sort of like electronic, like, but it's more sort of like danceable, like more kind of like it isn't just like sort of like typical like Oasis rockers like or like sort of like sit down like acoustic songs. Like it's a bit more like variety like in like the arrangements like on this record, which I really love. You get some cracking songs like Holy Man, which is one of my songs like of the year. She Taught Me How to Fly, If Love Is the Law, The Man Who Built the Moon. It is just a really great record here like from Noel Gallagher here. This is the picture disc version, but like, I won't bother showing it. Like I just like reviewed it, like it was like my last video. So like if like you want to like hear more about that record, like please go back and check out the review of it.
Been a long time making a show.
Okay, so now at number 1, this has come as like no surprise like to many people like who do like follow my channel, but at number 1 I'm going for Paul Weller's A Kind Revolution here. So yeah, this is the second album which he put out this year, and yeah, it is brilliant. Like I think it's a lot more sort of natural natural, like and like organic, like than his last two records, Saturn's Pattern and Sonic Kicks, which are quite like electronic-y, like quite highly produced records here. Whereas this one like is like a lot more like about sort of like simplicity, like and like natural sounding and like natural sounding like instruments, like, but it's still got like a lot of like variety like on it though, like soulful sort of stuff like Wussy Mama and like Wussy Mama like and like New York, like more like also more like experimental stuff like Nova, like the danceable one tier bluesy stuff for Satellite Kid, and like sort of gospel like with The Cranes Are Back and like Long Gone Road. It is a really great record here. Like there's only 10 songs, like, but it means it is very like low like on filler, this record here. Like every song like is like really like worthwhile. So yeah, fantastic record here, which I would certainly recommend to anyone. A Kind Revolution by Paul Weller. So yes, I hope you have enjoyed my roundup of the top 10 albums from 2017, or like my top 10 albums from 2017. I would be interested to know what like some of your favourites from this year were, like maybe some more like recommendations like about like newer bands, like newer like albums that would be would be like appreciated. And yeah, I will see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.
From that hope a new world born.